you, sir. First
Thank
of
you
all, I
very
would
much.
like to welcome you, sir.
Thank you.
And I request Dr. Rakesh Kumar to kindly introduce Dr. Kunamu, sir, please.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for all of you for joining today training session, and we are very excited to have you here. Appreciate you for giving such a time. Before we begin, I would like to introduce our speaker. Today we have Dr. TK Kanu, and he will deliver on the topic carbon neutral farming and its agroforestry perspective. Sir have vast knowledge of Western tropical agroforestry, tropical silviculture and plantation forestry. And about the sir has completed 11 projects, published 53 research papers, 4 book and 14 book chapters in national and international journals. Apart from this, sir has also guided 11 MSc students and 2 PhD students. Sir have also visited and participated in international seminars and conferences held in foreign countries like USA, Singapore, and Malaysia, like countries. And sir has also editor of many national and international recognized journals. Sir also has awarded Best Teacher Award by the ICR. And we are very grateful to our speaker for taking the time to share their knowledge and expertise with us today. Welcome you, sir. This post-live session of 5-day national training program.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Can I share my presentation?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Pardon? Prabhati, is my presentation visible?
Yes, sir. Very much visible, sir.
It's in full slide mode now.
Yeah, sir. Full slide.
Is it moving?
Yeah, sir. Moving.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. So, first and foremost, let me extend my heartfelt thanks to Prabhat Tiwari for giving me this wonderful opportunity to interact with a very august learning community, and also for becoming part of this national training program on marketing and value chain based strategies for agroforestry products in India. Okay, so I have been given, in fact, from 2 to 3:30, but I thought it would be about 1.5 hours, but it's already 2:30, so I have to finish by 3:30 or maybe mostly by 3:40. Well, I would not, I don't want to spend too much time on introductions and all. We'll straight away go to our topic. Okay. Well, carbon neutral, of course, this has not much to do with the marketing and value chain additions. Probably my presentation will be slightly different from what you were hearing yesterday and today. Not much on the marketing side, but I'm going to discuss about a very important topic, which has got a lot of national and regional importance in the present context of the climate change. So the carbon neutral farming agroforestry perspectives. Well, I don't need too much say about what is happening in our country, not only across the world. So quite a lot of changes are happening in all walks of human life, including agriculture. Frequency of high intensity rains are on the increase. Even in Kerala, this is a photograph of Kerala. We had the 2018, we had a flood and about 483 people died. So things are much changing. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is today's photograph. I just picked it from the Kerala newspaper. Yesterday we had a very heavy landslide in Kottayam district of Kerala. Yesterday, this photograph is of yesterday. So just in Kerala, the rains have just started, but in the very beginning itself, we are facing quite a lot of issues. And why this kind of change in the climate as compared to the previous years? The past 10 years, if you very closely examine, you can see that the Arabian Sea has become more and more virulent. Every year by year, a lot of uncertainties and a lot of havocs are happening in the Arabian Sea. Earlier, it was there in the Bay of Bengal, but now it has been transferred to the Arabian Sea. So as a result of that, both the coast of India, that is the entire the western and the eastern coast of India, are suffering quite a lot of issues. Probably you may be aware about the latest cyclone that has hit our Bengal and other regions. Like the Ramal cyclone. It has caused a lot of, not caused, even now causing quite a lot of issues in the coastal regions of Bengal and the Odisha and other areas. So heat waves are also coming in a big way. So that is also very, very, very concern. Many of our countries like the developed countries like America and Australia are facing serious forest fires. They continuously burn for months together. So things are not at all rosy for the entire landscape of our globe. It is unequivocal that the human influence has warmed the atmosphere, ocean, and the climate. So, and the land. This is by IPCC assessment report of 2021. Well, coming to the greenhouse now, the major issue is greenhouse effect. I don't want to spend much time on the greenhouse effect because you all know these are the basic things which everybody knows. But I would like to give you only one thing: the long wave radiations which are reflected back from the atmosphere. They have been trapped by the greenhouse gases, and they cause the global warming. But global warming is a very important thing, which is also very much necessary for the existence of the globe. Just imagine had the global warming not been there, the situation would have been very, very dangerous. Like if global warming is not there, the atmosphere will be becoming very, very cold, and the Earth's surface will be at minus 50 degrees Celsius. Just imagine about a situation when the global surface temperature is minus 15 degrees Celsius. No human being can survive. So in a way, the warming of the globe, or the so-called greenhouse effect, is very much important for the sustenance of the human beings. That gives you the life, and that gives you the energy and the heat. Then what is the problem? The problem is the temperature. These greenhouse gases help us to maintain the global temperature at plus 14 degrees Celsius. If the greenhouse gases are not there, the mean temperature of the planet would have been minus 17 degrees Celsius. So that is very, very important. But we are feeling, or we are experiencing, the global warming. It refers to the unprecedented warming of the globe. Globe was warming, or the temperature was increasing very slightly, but something happened in the last few decades. Unprecedented warming is happening. Among the greenhouse gases, who is responsible for greenhouse effect? It is the most important villain is carbon dioxide. Okay, which is a single most important gas, which is responsible for about 55% of the change, or the global climate change. The contribution of carbon dioxide is about 55%. And emission of carbon dioxide into the ecosystem due to industry. Okay, I don't need to say about it. Industries, the energy sectors, there are very many sectors which contribute to carbon dioxide. And probably one of the major, or the man is the strongest causal factor of the global warming. Global warming is an invited calamity. Global warming is an invited calamity by the humans because it is completely driven by the humans. Okay. So that's very important. See, these are the various greenhouse gases. Maybe you will be much aware of all these things. I just wanted to tell you about one thing, that is just you can see carbon dioxide, the global warming potential of carbon dioxide. Among the greenhouse gases, you see carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, hydrofluorocarbons, perfluorocarbons, and sulfur hexafluoride. Among all these things, probably the global warming potential is the lowest for carbon dioxide. The lowest is carbon dioxide. If the global warming potential of carbon dioxide is taken as 1 as unit, methane is having 21 times as higher potential than carbon dioxide. Nitrous oxide is having 310 times. And when that comes to sulfur hexafluoride, it's about 23,900 times than carbon dioxide. So you can understand how that is felt. I will tell you a simple example. See the carbon dioxide, if the global warming potential of carbon dioxide and methane, see if 1 ton of the 1 ton of methane, the temperature increased inflicted by 1 ton of methane is equivalent to 21 tons of carbon dioxide, or the global warming made by 21 tons of carbon dioxide. So just imagine that situation. When that comes to nitrous oxide, it's 310. That means 310 times is the global warming potential of nitrous oxide. So these are but luckily, we know that these gases, or which are more dangerous, like methane, nitrous oxide, hydrofluorocarbons, are very, very, very less in quantity in the atmosphere. That is a lucky thing. Otherwise, just imagine, had them been having the same kind of concentration as carbon dioxide, probably the globe would not have been there by that time. So we are so lucky that the concentration of carbon dioxide is high, or the other gases, especially the most dangerous greenhouse gases, the concentration is very high. Well, if you look at the top carbon dioxide emitting countries in the world, it's very interesting. All the advanced countries are responsible for emission of the highest degree of carbon dioxide or greenhouse gases. And United States contributing about a country singly, one country is contributing about 24.5% of the total greenhouse gas emission. Just see that much is the quantity by United States. And you can see the other countries also, China, Russia, Germany, UK, all the, of course, the contribution by India is relatively lower, but if you look at the global scale, this is also very high. So 2.3% is not a small amount. Well, if you look at the carbon dioxide emission per capita, then there India has got a positive side. Per capita carbon dioxide emission, again, the countries like Canada, Australia, United States are in the top, with metric tons per 15.5 metric tons per head. That is, carbon dioxide emission per head is about 15.5 metric tons in Canada. In Australia also it is the same. US also it is very high. But if you come back to India, you can see it's about 1.8. The reason is, it doesn't mean that we are not emitting greenhouse gases, but because of the very high population. Now, when you divide it by the population, probably it will come very less. That's why. Now, coming to this is very important. IPCC, probably you may be aware of the IPCC latest assessment report. It's called AR6 Assessment Report 6. I hope you all know what is IPCC. Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. This is the agency responsible for, international agency responsible for monitoring and evaluating the changes in the climate across the world. And IPCC has got different scenarios. IPCC has got very, very large number of projections have been made. And the assessment report, the 6th assessment report, is said to be one of the robust reports because it is purely scientific. So there are many SSPs. SSP means a shared socio-economic pathway. There are 5 shared socio-economic pathway, and the green one which you see, is the lowest. The emission at the lowest level, if that is even the present day, if it is less than the present day emissions, this will contribute to about 1.6 degrees Celsius by 2040, 1.4 degrees Celsius by 2080, and 1 to 1.8. This is the lowest scenario which we have not attained, but we are dreaming about. This is the scenario which we are dreaming about. This is SSP1 scenario. But SSP1 2.6, 4.5, 7, and 8.5. These are all scenarios where the temperature is going to increase substantially by 2100. For example, SP3 scenario says that 2000. Hello? Okay. It comes to about a 2.8 to 4.6 degree. degrees centigrade increase by 2100. You know what is going to be the implication if the temperature increases to 2.8 to 4.6 degrees Celsius by 2100? That will lead to the devastation of the entire mankind from the world, because we never will be able to withstand this kind of a increase in the temperature. Right? So this is what is the challenge we have. Now you all know we are much aware of the issue. Carbon dioxide is increasing. Villain is carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is increasing in the atmosphere very, very alarmingly. This table or probably this graph give you a picture of the past 8 lakh years. This is 8 lakh. The carbon dioxide concentration in the globe has been assessed for the past 8 lakh years from the ice core taken from the polar region. And you can see that never in the history of the globe, the carbon dioxide concentration has been increased beyond 300 ppm. And you see this? Never in the history of the globe, carbon dioxide concentration has never increased beyond 300 ppm. But something happened. This is 8 lakh years, 6 lakh years, 4 lakh years, 2 lakh years. And this is 1950, very recent years. Okay, this is maybe about 60, 70 years before. And from 1950 onwards, substantial increase in the carbon dioxide concentration has happened. You see, from 1950 to 2020, it has increased enormously beyond and in 2013 that crossed the limit of 400. Now we know that it's about 480. So carbon dioxide is tremendously increasing across the world. So this is another picture which is also showing what's going to happen. You know, these are different SSP scenarios. This blue one is the lowest emission scenario. This is higher emission, highest emission. And you all know that carbon dioxide, which is emitted by the human beings or our developmental activities, there is one factor which is reducing or which is absorbing the carbon dioxide produced by us, and that is the ocean. Ocean is the largest carbon sink in the world. Its potential is about 38,000 gigatons carbon. You know, that is the potential of the ocean, whereas the land has got only 2,800, whereas ocean is having 38,000. See the difference. But the problem is that the ocean is absorbing about 60 to 70% of the carbon dioxide produced by the mankind. And only a very small quantity is going to the atmosphere. But when the scenario changes, you can see that the quantity of carbon dioxide that is hanging in the atmosphere will increase. Here you can see it's 65% is by land and ocean, and 35% will go to the atmosphere. In this scenario, 54%, and the remaining 54% will be land and ocean. But the remaining large chunk will go to the ocean, to the atmosphere. And in the highest scenario, that is a SP5 scenario, you can see that atmosphere will be the largest sink of carbon dioxide. Sink means atmosphere cannot sink. It is there in the atmosphere that will lead to the global warming. The more and more carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, that will lead to more and more global warming. So this is what is going to happen as per the IPCC assessment report 2021. Now, the global climate change, again, it is a reality and considered to be one of the most serious threats to the global environment, affecting the global environment. And it has been at the center of the scientific and the political debate for the recent years. Many countries, you know, I hope you know the global climate change negotiations happening in the COP summit. We had the recent COP summit. We had the Paris summit. We had the Egypt. We had a summit in the Egypt, Glasgow summit. You may be aware of all this because the global community is much aware of what is going to happen. Well, I'm not going to the details of all these things. The major issues are changes in the temperature, changes in the precipitation, changes in the nutrient supply, and the carbon dioxide concentration, which lead to climatic extremes, which leads to heat waves, which leads to heavy precipitation, droughts, tropical cyclones. These things which we are already feeling or which have started feeling. You know, in the earlier times when maybe some 50 years ago, I used to think in our textbooks, something like climate change may come in the future. You know, during our elementary school days, in our books, it was written like something called as climate change may be coming in future, which will change the climate and temperature increase will happen. But now that has happened, and we are all facing that reality. More adverse impacts than the beneficial effects. You see, when the climate change happens, two things will happen. The temperature will increase. Definitely, the global temperature will increase. But some regions will get some advantages, like those regions which are very colder regions, because temperature is also responsible for productivity, because all organisms and all plants require a reasonable temperature. That's why in the tropics we have very good temperature, very good rainfall, and that's why you have so much of diversity. But when you go to the higher latitudes, the temperature is low. But when the climate change happens, probably there will be a positive side in the increase in the temperature and the vegetation will increase. But if you look at the whole perspective, the low latitude regions are going to be suffered. So health impacts are there, agriculture sector is affected, forest sector is affected, water resources are much affected, impacts on the coastal areas. So species diversity is very much affected. So these are the causes and the effects of the climate change. I'm not going to the details of all these things. So many things are happening. We already started feeling them. For example, we feel that the extreme temperature increase in Kerala, for example. We never felt this year, just 1 month back, the Kerala was suffering like anything because Kerala had never felt like a temperature increase up to 40 degrees Celsius. We never experienced that. But this year, we had the highest temperature and we were burning like anything. And North India definitely is now very much hot, tremendous hot. And these changes are much, much, much more manifested. And rising sea levels, all these things increasing the extreme weather events, land degradation, landfalls. Okay, so these things are all much happening. And we are going to lose some of our most beautiful islands in the world, like the Tuvalu Island, Oceania, and Maldives. Maldives is said to be underwater by 2050. By 2050, again, Kiribati Island will be in the flood, and about 1 lakh people, inhabitants will have to be forced to leave them. So these are the things which are going to happen within a period of one decade, maybe within 1 or 2 or 3 decades. Now, let us go to the climate change and agriculture sector. I have just mentioned about what is the climate change, what is its impacts. Well, we will straight away go to the climate change and agriculture. So there are two things. I have taken a loop. Climate change is affecting agriculture, right? This is what is more concern for us because a lot of setbacks have come in the Indian agriculture sector. But there is another important thing. Agriculture is also affecting climate change, or agriculture is contributing to climate change. So this is the area where we need to focus more. We all feel that agriculture is very safe, but no, agriculture tremendously contributing to the climate change. So we are going to focus more on this line. The climate change and agriculture sector, global food production scenario has increased by 70% in order to cater the 9.1 billion people. See, we need to increase our food production by 70% in order to meet the requirements of our people. Large-scale decline in the yield, and it is estimated that there will be large-scale about 60%, about 40% decline in the rice production will be estimated by around 2080. So unusual shifts in the rainfall pattern that could lead to massive decline in the tropics. So climate change is greatly affecting the agriculture scenario. The net effect of climate change on agriculture will be always negative. For example, you can see this picture. All this red shows a negative effect. All the green shows a positive effect of climate change. And the deep green shows a very positive. Deep red shows very negative. Can you see India? In India, you can see that the North Indian part is very hot, is going to be very hot. And other regions are also. Maybe high latitudes like the Russia or the Canada and the United States, where you will have some advantage because they are already very cold regions. When a temperature increase happens, probably they will become more productive. But the net effect of if you look at the global level, the net effect always will be negative. So this is the impact of on agriculture productivity. You can see this graph. Low latitude wheat is giving you minus 40%. It is the temperature difference. You can see minus 40% change in the yield. That is, there will be reduction in the yield of 40%. In the low latitudes, rice also has got about 25. Low latitude maize is very high. You can see minus 40. But in the mid altitudes, it is not so high. So this is the impact of the low latitudes are more severely affected by the climate change. This is the picture of Indian scenario. You can see here, rain-fed rice by 2050, 20% reduction is estimated. By 2080, 47% reduction in the rice production is estimated. Wheat is also about 20%, 40% reduction. So by 2080, we actually anticipate to increase our crop production by 70% to meet 9.1 billion of people. But if that reduces substantially, how are we going to meet it? If climate change can bring about this kind of a very, very, very unprecedented change in our agriculture sector, we have to resort to other strategies. Well, I'm not going to the details. See, this is the flood what happened in Kerala in the recent times. Kerala is known for God's-own country. Maybe you are all aware of it. Now it is no longer God's-own country because every year we are having severe floods and landslides. Not only human beings, but the agriculture sector is very much affected. For example, in the 2018 floods, Kerala lost about crop loss about 40,000 crore rupees. Crop loss. And then one interesting aspect we could observe was that we lost the rice, we lost the crop, other crops, we lost the vegetables, we lost everything. But only one thing we could remain, and that is the trees of shelter forests. Or the home gardens of Kerala, probably you may be knowing, tree-dominated, you can see the picture here, tree-dominated home gardens of Kerala were the survivors of the flood, just because of the presence of the trees. Well, the dilemma now is agrarian community in a big dilemma now. What to do? Because our traditional farming systems are no longer possible to be maintained. They are subjected to various kinds of climatic issues. Unusual early and late flowering and fruiting of the trees and crops. See, crops normally we all do the cropping based on the crop production period, you know. But if the crop production period shifts and the crop raising and the crop flowering period raises, you know, that will change the harvesting period. You see, unusual increase in the diurnal changes in the temperature, unusual rains and snowfalls. These are all much affects the agriculture scenario. And now, see, probably, you know, soil is the most important backbone of our agriculture. But in the climate change scenario, soil is the most important resource that has been affected. Heavy rains associated soil runoff. We estimated in Kerala about 300 tons of soil loss per hectare per year. 300 tons of soil loss per hectare per year. Last year we had assessed this. So gross decline in the organic soil, because our topsoil is responsible for all. You know, top 30 centimeter soil in the world is responsible for the productivity of the entire globe. And if that 30 centimeter soil is lost, it's lost means everything is lost. And that is probably one of the most important. Loss of potential to contain the soil erosion, because the soil's inherent potential, the soil's inherent ability to hold the nutrients and the carbon has totally gone. So it's being washed away uncontrollably. And uncontrolled fertilizers, even the soil is devoid of nutrients, we will have to go for heavy fertilization. Heavy fertilization again ruining the soil. This cycle will continue. Well, there are many national initiatives now. Kerala government of India has taken many national initiatives looking into the aspect of impact of climate change on agriculture. One is the National Mission for Sustainable Agriculture under the National Action Plan for Climate Change. It's a very ambitious program run by the government of India. Another one is by ICAR. You know, maybe you're all aware of it. National Innovations in Climate Resilient Agriculture, NICRA. And both these programs are focusing very much on involving in implementing strategies to make Indian agriculture more resilient to climate change. Nowadays, we are all using the term resilient. I request all of you to go through what is exactly meant by resilience. Resilience to climate change, the potential to resist the climate change, the potential to tide over the climate change, or the potential of the soil to adapt to the climate change. This is what is the area. This is where this is the area where we need to much focus. Well, now I am stopping there. Coming to the next step, that is the impact of agriculture on climate change. So far, we were discussing about the impact of climate change on agriculture. Now, we know that agriculture also has got a larger role to play in increasing the climate change. So there comes the importance of carbon neutral farming. Your farming also should be carbon. Otherwise, just like any other sector, agriculture also will be contributing substantially. See, this is the carbon footprint of the total amount of greenhouse gases that are generated by our actions. Everybody, myself, you, anybody you look at the world, we have our own carbon footprint. Probably a person in America and a person in India, if you look at the carbon footprint will be very high for the American. Why? Because he is using such kind of materials and gadgets and other facilities, which are all having very high carbon footprint. I'll give you this graph, which will tell you about how much is the per head carbon footprint. It is United States is having 14.95 tons per head carbon footprint per year. That is per year. In America, one person is contributing to about 40.95 tons of carbon in the atmosphere. Canada, not so bad. South Korea, not so bad. Russia, not so bad. Luckily, if you come to India, it's 1.57 tons only. Again, our population is responsible for this. When the total emission is divided by the population, you will get the per capita. India is having so much of very high population. That is the reason. That doesn't mean that India, the carbon footprint of Indians are very less. Right? Now, you can see here, this graph, you can see the carbon footprint in the agriculture sector. It was 1.12 in 60s. In 60s and 70s, it was only 0.12 teragram carbon equivalent per hectare. But you see over the years, it has substantially increased. Now it is reached up to 0.28, more than doubled, 100% increase. Now, this picture gives you a very interesting story about how the greenhouse gas effect is influenced. See, the greenhouse gas emissions by economic sector in India. The power sector is the largest emitter of greenhouse gas, 24%. Land use change contributing to about 18%, and agriculture contributes about 14%, transport and buildings, other energy, waste, etc., etc. So the green one is the most important one for as far as we are concerned. The green one is agriculture. Agriculture in India, if you look at the whole greenhouse gas emission scenario, agriculture alone contributes 14%. It's not a small thing. Again, major sectors of greenhouse gas emission in agriculture. Now, you come back to agriculture. Let us come back to agriculture. In agriculture, you can see the blue region is about enteric fermentation by the livestock. Livestock, you know what is enteric fermentation? It is nothing but the greenhouse gas, especially methane, is produced inside the gut of the animals. Inside the gut of the animals, like buffaloes and mutton or goat, and these gas will be going because they fermentation will take place, and that will produce quite a lot of methane gas. This methane gas will go through their waste, through their nostrils, and they go to the atmosphere. It is not a small quantity, it is 55%. Now, what about rice cultivation? It is 70. Methane emission from rice is about 17%. And fertilizer application, unscientific fertilizer application leads to about 19%. It's not a small quantity. Manure management, 7%. Residue burning, again, residue burning is also contributing substantially. So you have two areas. One is the animal rearing area, which contributes 55%. One is the agriculture sector. Rice is the most important billion. Agriculture-related greenhouse gas emissions. The most farm-related emissions comes from the methane and nitrous oxide. Agriculture farm-related greenhouse gas emissions are contributed by two greenhouse gases. One is methane and the other is nitrous oxide, not carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide may be in other sectors, carbon dioxide may be the highest. But in the agriculture sector, these two are very, very important. See, I will show you some of the interesting data. Livestock and rice production were found to be the main source of greenhouse emission in agriculture. See, the rice, 5.65 kilogram carbon equivalent per kilogram rice. That is for the production of 1 kg of rice. For the production of 1 kg of rice, we need to emit 5.65 kilogram of methane or carbon dioxide equivalent. Now, mutton is very high. For the production of 1 kg of mutton meat, that we need to spend, or we are emitting about 45.54 kilogram carbon equivalent. See, and milk production is also very high. So, but if you look at the cereal production, except rice, you see the fruits and vegetables in India, it is less than 1 kilogram carbon equivalent per kilogram. So you can say, you can take a decision on what is contributing to the highest emission of greenhouse gases. Cereals, except rice. Rice, definitely you cannot count. So this picture shows you another very interesting story. See, this is the total greenhouse gas emission by the crops. The crop total is this: 200 million tons carbon dioxide equivalent is the total crop related emission, out of which 50% is rice. Maybe 25% wheat, sugarcane, and other things you can see. Now, coming to the livestock sector, this is the livestock sector. It's the total livestock. Again, cattle contribute about 50%. Buffaloes contribute about maybe about 30 to 25%. And goat and sheep also contribute substantially. So we need to much focus on these sectors, even though these sectors are very, very important, vital sectors of Indian agriculture. We need to have a thorough focus, a thorough look at how best these emissions can be reduced. There comes the significance of carbon neutral farming. India's world, see this I have already mentioned. Livestock makes about 78% of the 24 million tons of India's total methane emission. 24 million tons is the annual methane production by India, of which 78% is contributed by the livestock. If you look at the other gases, methane plus other greenhouse gases, if you take all the total methane emission by the enteric fermentation by the livestock is 54%. And rice cultivation, 17.5%. Nitrous oxide emissions from the application of nitrogen fertilizer, 19%. And totally account for 91% of the total greenhouse gas emissions from the agriculture sector. These two sectors are responsible for this. So this is the same one which I have mentioned with milk, 2.42 kilogram per kilogram of greenhouse gas emission per kilogram of milk. Wheat, paddy is the highest, but you see mango, very low, onion, tomato, these are all very low, poultry, very high, egg, very high, and beef, very high. Mutton is the highest, isn't it? Mutton is the highest, which gives you about more than 40 kilogram, 45 kilogram. So 1 kilogram of mutton, this much is. These are the carbon footprint associated with agriculture. Now, greenhouse gas emissions from rice fields in India. See, rice fields contribute. We have about 42.25 million hectares of rice field. Annual net emission. You know how the greenhouse, before the methane is produced, it is simply because the rice is a high water intensive crop and it is always submerged. So under the submerged condition, what happens is that anaerobic respiration happens inside the soil, right below the soil, which will lead to methane production. That is why the rice fields are producing so much of methane. And when they are flooded for longer period, that is the net emission is about 1.7 to 1 methane. See, methane 1.7 to 1 is 0.038 to 0.048, 21 to 60 teragram of methane, nitrous oxide, and carbon dioxide. So methane is about 1.17, nitrous oxide is about 0.038, and 21 to 60 kilograms of carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide is also the, which all accumulated global warming potential of about 130 to 272 teragrams carbon dioxide equivalent. 1 teragram is equal to 10 raised to 12 grams. You should understand that. But when you see, I will tell you one very simple technique when you apply, like intermediate flooding of rice. If you take the rice fields intermediately flooded, that you remove the flooding for some time and then you flood it, remove the flooding for some time. Intermediate flooding can reduce the methane emission to 0.12. See, from 1.07 to 0.12. See how much reduction is happening. More than 800 times reduction is happening because of a simple technique. So this is what we have to focus on. See, this is the baseline information about this. Red is cattle, the total emission. Red is cattle, blue is rice, this is buffalo, and yellow is goat and sheep. See, this is what is up. Almost 450 million tons of carbon equivalent is contributed by the agriculture sector. This is the baseline information. This is the business as usual, the present scenario. This is the baseline, this is the present scenario, but this is the mitigation potential. There is a huge mitigation potential for India when you go for responsible agriculture. Now let us go to the carbon neutral farming, which is the focus of today's discussion, and then we will discuss a little bit about agroforestry also. Okay, carbon neutral, how to achieve carbon neutrality? This is the biggest question we need to answer. What is carbon neutral farming? It is nothing but a system of agricultural management that helps the land store more carbon. The land has to store more carbon and reduce the amount of greenhouse gases. There are two things. One, that there is already gas, carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. If you can trap the atmosphere, the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, it is a positive change. And again, another important thing is that if you can reduce the amount of greenhouse gas emission, that is a positive change. These two things can be harnessed so that they become carbon. The second, see, there are two things all the time. We always discuss about these two things. One is carbon neutral and net zero. Whether these are the same, but carbon neutral is the same as net zero. Let us see. Carbon neutral, actually, it involves the reducing the amount of carbon dioxide emitted to the atmosphere. Like, reducing the amount of carbon. We are all emitting carbon dioxide. Agriculture sector is emitting carbon dioxide. Energy sector is emitting carbon dioxide. Transportation sector is emitting carbon. How best to reduce that, right? And using carbon reduction projects. We have to launch, because each company have their own carbon reduction programs. Carbon reduction projects are there. So carbon neutrality is nothing but to limit any increase in the future carbon emission while using the offset to neutralize the existing emissions. That is, carbon neutral is nothing but a balancing mechanism. That doesn't mean that no carbon dioxide production. Definitely carbon dioxide production is happening. But if you can have another strategy where more of produced carbon dioxide is trapped, then we can say that. For example, we know that the emission is happening in the rice field, right? The emission is happening. You cannot say that, okay, I'm not going to cultivate rice hereafter because it is emitting carbon dioxide. Methane. You can think in that way. No, it's not possible. So what the best can be done? Emission you have to reduce. You have to look into measures for reducing the emission of methane from the rice field. But you can also do one thing in the periphery of those rice field and in the other places. Suppose you plant more trees, they sequester quite a lot of carbon. So one place its emission is happening, on one side it is trapping, or the emitted carbon dioxide or the greenhouse gases are conserved or trapped. Then it's okay. That is what is called carbon neutral. But net zero is not like that. It is more serious or more accountable. Net zero refers to the balance between the amount of greenhouse gas that is produced and the amount that is removed. It should be balanced. For example, if an industry is taking an account of the net zero, the industry will look into how much carbon dioxide is emitted by the industry and how much carbon dioxide is conserved by the industry or trapped by the industry. Carbon dioxide has been trapped into carbon sink. Okay, so that is the balance. So that means that net zero places much more focus on reducing the carbon emissions. Please mind this. Net zero places more focus on reducing the carbon emissions as much as possible first. So suppose our carbon dioxide emission is about 100% or the 100 megagrams, for example, 100 tons of that industry. Industry should try its level best to mitigate it by reducing the 100. If that 100 can be reduced to 80, or it can be reduced to 70, right? And the residual carbon dioxide can be used, the carbon dioxide produced, or after the mitigation, right? And only the offsetting is unavoidable, right? And only offsetting is unavoidable, the residual carbon dioxide will be converted into other carbon sources or the mitigation. So mitigation will happen in the case of net zero. Mitigation will happen only if there is a surplus carbon greenhouse gas emission. A typical example I will tell you, you have the solar panel. See the solar panels, when you have solar energy trapped by the solar panel, there is no carbon dioxide emission. There is no greenhouse gas emission. So it's a net zero scenario. It's a typical example of a net zero scenario. No emission, no abatement. No emission, no abatement. So this is what is very important. Let us see the ways to win the climate change. See, here you can see that the net zero carbon dioxide emission is supposed to reach a plateau. If you are going by the global climate change increase to 1 degree Celsius, for example, if this is 1 degree Celsius, the international community is trying to hold the global warming or the global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius by 2100. But if you take a scenario of 1 degree Celsius increase, right? Then if you can bring down the temperature increase to 1 instead of 1.5, then there is a chance of becoming net zero by 2050. Global warming roughly stabilizes net zero carbon dioxide emission. This is carbon dioxide emission. Now net zero greenhouse gas emission will take again some more time, right? Provided that if you can contain the temperature increase to 1 degree Celsius. Then if you can contain these two things, it is said that by about 2100, the temperature will again come down. Temperature, global warming implications. Okay, so the biggest question is how to make our agriculture land free from greenhouse gases, or how to lower the greenhouse gas emission from gases. This is a million dollar question which the scientists need to answer. Well, there are many chances. Opportunities are there. Indian agriculture has the potential to mitigate about 85.5 million tons carbon dioxide equivalent per year. 85.5 million tons of carbon dioxide equivalent per year. So that's a huge potential. You can reduce this much. Cost-effective mitigation options we need to follow. We need to follow identification of the emission hotspots in agriculture. Just like rice, we have identified. Unscientific fertilizer application is another reason for nitrous oxide emission. So likewise, we need to identify the emission hotspots, and we need to identify the carbon footprint and calculate it so that you can look at emission enhancing the removals. Removals means removing carbon dioxide, existing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. The best strategy is tree farming. You plant trees, it will remove the carbon dioxide. Displacing the emissions, reducing the emissions. These are all the strategies which we need to look at. Okay, I'm not going to this. Well, this is to begin with, we need to net zero carbon emission. You know, I think you all know that the government of India has declared India's INDC commitments. You know, INDC, intended, nationally determined contribution. We have made in the Paris summit, we have made it very clear. And in the Glasgow summit, again, we reiterated that our honorable Prime Minister has reiterated that by 2070, India will become carbon neutral. And net zero, I'm not carbon neutral, but net zero. It's a huge task. To become India net zero by 2070 is going to be a huge task. How are we going to achieve this? These are the net zero scenarios of different countries, contribution by different countries. India's contribution is also substantial because India is one of the few countries who declared that India, we are going to reduce our emissions. That's called the INDC. I will tell you what is the INDC of India. See, this is India's declaration. India's commitment to the international community that we will be reducing our emission intensity of the GDP by 33 to 35% by 2030. By 2030, India will reduce its emission intensity from 35 to 35%, 33 to 35% of its GDP. It's a huge. Also to achieve about 40% of the cumulative electric power from non-fossil fuel-based energy sources. Because fossil fuels are responsible for the carbon dioxide emission. We need to protect or we need to reduce the fossil fuel usage. So India has declared that 40% of the cumulative electric power will be. This we modified this in the, it's called the Panchamrit, where we have increased it to 40 has been increased to 50%, and 33 to 35 has been increased to 45%. India has become more stringent, so India has become more responsible on it, right? Additional need. So one of the strategy India is looking at is that to create additional carbon sink of 2.5 to 3 billion tons of carbon dioxide equivalent through additional forest and tree cover. There comes the importance of agroforestry. How is India going to meet the NDC? It is primarily through adding additional carbon sink of 2.5 to 3 billion tons by 2030. This is through tree covers only. So these are the various programs India has to achieve the INDC, in the intended nationally determined contribution. Well, great. This we have already discussed. I said that India's agriculture has the potential to mitigate 85.85 million tons of carbon equivalent. 80% of which is can be delivered by cost-effective options. Cost-effective. Go for cost-effective options. And this much quantity, this 85.5 million tons is equivalent to half of this. That means 85.5, half of it means about 40, isn't it? 42 million tons carbon dioxide equivalent to emission from 30 million cars in a year. This much. That means in the agriculture sector, if you go for a reduction in the emission, 50% of that will be equivalent to the emission from 30 million cars. So you can just understand what is the impact of that. And this can be achieved only by following three methods. That red color, one is using nitrogenous fertilizers more efficiently. Very important. Adopting zero tillage, very important. And improving the management of the rice one. Probably that also can very easily bring down the methane emission substantially. Well, some of the strategies I will tell you, I will take only 5 to 10 minutes only. Some of the strategies in the agriculture resilient and sustainable in climate change. How to make. One is diversification. Diversify a more nutritious and environment-friendly crops. We have a lot of predetermined notion about our dietary health. For crop diversification from the major staple food to nutritious climate-resilient crops. Like rice, I don't say that you should never eat rice. No, you should eat rice because we can't. For example, I'll tell you from Kerala side, we cannot sleep one night without eating rice. We cannot sleep one night without eating rice. Right? So that has become in the mind, that has become part and parcel of every Indian. Rice has become so much. But see, a gradual shift, and that doesn't mean that you should never eat rice. You eat, but there are many other nutritious and climate resilient crops are there. Right? Pulses. Most of the pulses, they're all very, very low carbon footprint crops. But gradually there must be a shift. And agroforestry, for example, brings synergy between trees and crops or forage to help diversify the existing farming systems. Agroforestry is one important strategy wherein you have multiple products are there. The beauty of agroforestry is that it delivers you multiple crops, multiple products, rather than a monocrop. So you diversify agroforestry. Go for integrated farming systems where you will have different kinds of crops for your dietary. Water use efficiency is another area. See, diminishing natural resources. The most important natural resources which will be affected by the climate change will be water. And the promotion of micro irrigation practices is the most important thing. Especially more crop per drop. This slogan we should follow. More crop per drop. It is ICR slogan. And again, another slogan is irrigate the crop and not the land. You irrigate the crop, not the land. But we can see that more than the crop, we are irrigating the land, which has no value or no meaning. It's very important. Now, fertilizer use efficiency, if you look at the blanket recommendation, results in the over application. 90% of the nitrogen is broadcasted to the surface, and more than 80% of the applied nitrogen is in the form of urea. Urea is the only one which is heavily used by our farmers because they love urea. Why? Because its nitrogen release potential is very high. But how many of you know that only 30% of the applied urea is going into the plant system, and the remaining 70% is going to the atmosphere as nitrous oxide? Remaining, see, only 30%. The urea, the nutrient use efficiency of urea is only 30% in India. So India can increase the fertilizer nitrogen efficiency by promoting site-specific nutrient management strategies. One is replacing urea with other sources of nitrogen, discouraging broadcast application of fertilizers, especially inorganic fertilizer, encouraging drill application of nutrients, and above all, go for fertigation. Fertigation, you know what is fertilization plus irrigation. So that is another important strategy. Zero tillage, I have already mentioned all these things. Now, methane emission from rice, I have already said. Altering the water management can produce miracle in the rice field. Altering the water management, promoting intermittent irrigation and mild season drainage, that will lead to methane gas emission by 40%. And direct seeding rice, DSR, direct seeding rice as compared to transplanted rice. See this picture? This is the transplanted rice where the methane emission is very high. Nitrous oxide emission is also high. But if you go for direct seeded rice, it's very, very less. So these strategies we can follow. We can follow. See, the rice and wheat, you can see the difference. See, this is the global warming. One is rice and the other is global warming potential of rice and wheat. Rice is very high as compared to wheat. And here you can see like DSR. Okay, if you go for direct seeded rice, right, then you can see that there is a substantial reduction. Okay, another one is nitrous oxide emission. You know, nitrous oxide is very dangerous. Its global warming potential is about 340 times as compared to carbon dioxide. 300. So even a small quantity of nitrous oxide can produce substantial increase in the temperature, and it is contributed mainly by the unscientific fertilizer application. And there is some points like neem oil, neem cake, pongamia seed extract, which can act as nitrification inhibitors. And also deep placement of urea is very important. Instead of broadcasting, what you can do is that rather than surface application is reported to reduce the greenhouse gas emission 41%. Instead of surface application, if you can drill them and the deep placement of urea, that is placement of urea into 10 to 15 centimeter deep holes made near the hills, the rice hills, that can reduce the methane emission, that can reduce the nitrous oxide emission by 41%. 41. You can just modify your technique. Instead of surface application, just make a drill and put it in the that will change the scenario. Okay, methane emission, nitrous oxide emission from rice, wheat, and others, burning. So after the burning, so these are the crop burned area, crop burnings. From the crop burnings, you can see rice crop burning will lead to about 39% carbon dioxide greenhouse gas emission, wheat 24%. Now coming to the carbon dioxide removals through sequestration in woody biomass. I will take maybe five more minutes. We will go to the agroforestry part of it. The trees have got the magnificent property of enriching the soil nutrient status and carbon status. And also, they substantially fix the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. There is no entity in the world which takes the atmospheric carbon dioxide and convert into less dangerous carbon form of the biomass. So long as there any tree for that matter, you take any tree, 50% of the tree is carbon. And this carbon is nowhere, it has come from the atmosphere only. So when you plant more and more trees, you know, the carbon dioxide will be more and more absorbed and will be converted into wood, and which is less dangerous. Okay. So that is the beauty of carbon, the trees. And also the trees have got a magnificent property of nutrient cycling, you know, because the tree roots go deeper. So they go up to 6 to 7 meters deeper. And the fine roots which are produced, you know, they enrich the soil nutrients and carbon status. The fine roots, our own college have done a study on acacia mangium. We could see that the fine root production per hectare by acacia mangium is about 5 tons per hectare per year. in 1 hectare, 5 tons of fine roots are produced, and half of these fine roots are nothing but carbon only. So they enrich the soil carbon potential. So this is a very important thing, carbon sequestration potential of the forest. Well, forests and agroecosystems are very closely connected, especially in areas which are forests are very near to the agroecosystem. For example, in Kerala, we have the whole Western Ghats. And the health of the Western Ghats is responsible for the prosperity of our agriculture, because the water which are required for the entire Kerala is coming from the forest through the rivers. And when the forest was shattered, that happened because we had the floods. But the flood happened simply because of the heavy intensity rains. The intensity was about 300 to 400% as compared to the previous years. So that probably may not be able to hold, or may not be able to be borne by the soil. So this is very important. So agroecosystem and forests are very closely connected. The health of the forest will reflect in the health of the agroecosystem. Next, also we need to have a kind of practice wherein the forest ecosystem should be ecologically sound, agroecosystem should be ecologically sound, and if ecological degradation happens, both these systems will be degraded. That will lead to massive eco-restoration. So what is required is this. This is the mantra: landscape level approach and ecosystem approach. Landscape level approach. We need to face the dilemma through landscape level approach. That means we have to consider the entire landscape, including the forest and agroecosystem, because they are inseparably connected. Any issue that happens in the agroecosystem, the costs will be in the forest. So you have to look at what is happening in it, because we felt it. We felt it. The boundary between, we had around 400 landslides, out of which 90% of the landslides were in the boundary of forest and the agricultural land. 90% of the landslides were in the boundary of agricultural land and the forest. I will tell you about it. And agroforestry is the way forward. There is no doubt about it, because you are deliberately integrating trees in the agriculture field. And they will make you, or they will permit you to become your land or agricultural land carbon neutral. Even though emissions are happening in the agriculture sector, if you have more trees, that will substitute the losses, because trees are absorbing so much of carbon dioxide. So that will help you to become carbon neutral. Even though some emissions are there, that if you sequester more carbon through the trees, they will help you in becoming the whole area, the entire agricultural landscape will become carbon neutral. And finally, these are the various kinds of agroforestry. I am not going to the details of agroforestry. Shifting cultivation, tongia, alley cropping, windbreak, shelter belts, home gardens. Probably we are much fascinated by the home gardens of Kerala, which are having a lot of trees. Right? These are the traditional home gardens, integrated farming systems, for fast-growing trees, the woodlots, multi-purpose trees, or multi-tier fruit forests. These are coming in a big way. Fruit forests are coming in the entire India. You can see people have got a surge for fruit trees nowadays. Bamboo is another area. Fodder trees based agroforestry. So there are many agroforestry systems possible which need to be promoted. I just show this table to tell you what is the role of trees in agriculture. Just see these. I'm sorry, these are all Malayalam names. Actually, this is Casuarina equisetifolia. This is Macaranga peltata. This is these are all pulpwood, softwood species. Okay, this is Islandus trifisa. This is jack tree. Okay, and this is Acacia silver oak. And what we have seen is that you can see this is the carbon in the soil, in a vegetation. In the vegetation, you can see this is the 63 is the in the soil of tree-based soil. Tree-based soil.
प्रॉब्लम आ गया था सर, तो मैं मतलब मीटिंग अपने आप लेफ्ट हो गई थी, तो अभी देखा तो प्रभात तिवारी सर आगे हैं बस.
I'm going to stop it. Don't worry.
हाँ हो गया था, लेकिन प्रभात तिवारी सर हमें दिखा रहा है अभी.
Hello.
मैंने तो कुछ नहीं किया सर.
Hello.
हाँ,
Yes sir, you continue sir.
Some cross talking is happening. That's why I'm
Actually, some participant.
Okay. So I'm going to wind it up. See, here you can see these are the five tree species we have planted, and we have taken the soil from the tree species. You can see that 63 tons per hectare is the carbon content in the soil. 63.62 tons is the soil in the first tree species. That is cashew in ecocity 68, 65, 61, and then we had a treeless control near to that plot. These are all different plots nearby plots where you have different trees, and this plot is not having any tree. See the difference in the carbon content in the soil. Tree soil is having this much, treeless soil is having this much, almost 100% increase in the tree soil. How that happens? When you have trees in the land, the soil will be having a high carbon content when as compared to a nearby soil where there is not. So this will tell you the significance of trees in farmlands. Well, tropical home gardens of Kerala, we say that these are the richest sources of nutrients in the soil. The soil in the tropical home gardens of Kerala, the soil is having very high carbon content and nutrient content because of the presence of huge number of trees. The system is a multi-tier system. Okay. So this is another very important study done by us. This study was done by Saha. You can see the soil organic carbon content in various ecosystems. Soil organic carbon content in the forest was 176 tons. Coconut garden 191 tons. Home garden, this is HGL, means large home garden. HGL means large home garden. HGS means small home garden. And then rubber plantation, you have 119. And the rice paddy was having the lowest carbon content of 55%, 55 tons. Just see, all tree dominated systems have got a high soil carbon content. This is the significance of agroforestry. And Kerala has become the first state to introduce carbon neutral farming, integrated farming. Kerala recently started a lot of initiatives on making the agricultural land carbon neutral. One system I will just discuss. Kerala said become the first state in the country to introduce carbon neutral farming. And in the first phase, the carbon neutral farming was implemented in 13 farms under the agriculture department. Now Kerala is having 100 assembly constituencies. The model carbon neutral farming is going to be developed in all the 140 assembly constituencies. And promotion of agroforestry is the one which we are looking at. Ecological engineering, composting, increasing the level of organic carbon in the soil, and carbon sequestration. And these are the strategies which we need to follow, like improving the soil health, promotion of tree farming and agroforestry, integrated farming methods, rotation of tree crops, adoption of fertigation, precision farming, improved irrigation, limiting the indiscriminate use of fertilizers. These are the other various options available. Mulching is a very important thing. Growing cover crops is very important. Crop diversification we have already discussed. Soil management, irrigation management, water management, and then emission control reduction, this combustion engines, animal waste, etc. So there are a large number of mitigation strategies available. Probably among all these, agroforestry stands the first. I am stopping with this example, a small example. We did a study in Kerala where greenhouse gas emission was assessed from 4 systems. One is a tree-dominated home garden, other is a coconut garden, other is a rice-based system, other is a banana. And we calculated the greenhouse gas emission. Can you see this? The greenhouse gas emission reasonably was high from home garden, 3,400. And you can see energy, diesel, there was a diesel pump in the house. So that was the major reason. If the diesel pump was not there, probably it would have come down again. So 3,400 kilogram carbon dioxide equivalent was from home garden, 1,979 from coconut, 2,300 from rice field, is very high, and banana it was 1,646. This is the greenhouse gas emission from these 4 sectors. Now the interesting thing is in the next slide. See, now we are looking at the carbon sequestration. Agroforestry, homestead-based agroforestry, trees sequestered 71,800 kilogram carbon dioxide equivalent in the tree-dominated home garden, whereas in the coconut garden it was 18,000. Rice field it was very less, and banana it was less. So even though in the previous slide we can see that emission was about 3,400 in the homestead, the carbon dioxide sequestration is very, very, very high. So it is an implication of a carbon neutral farming. Even though emission is there, because of the agroforestry component, so much of carbon is conserved. 71,000 is a huge quantity. So here you can see the net result is a minus 69,000. Whereas in the other cases, it is very, very. So that is the importance of making our agriculture system more climate resilient by planting trees, because the tree dominated system will have the potential to combat and adapt to the climate change. Okay, I'm stopping here. Global warming causes climate change, maybe the ultimate issue that unites us all. It has already started uniting us. Otherwise, no, we will never have anything to transfer to our next generations. Probably, we are the last generation that has a chance to stop climate change before it's too late. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for delivering such a wonderful presentation and sharing such a valuable information with us. And any query regarding this topic, all the participants are requested to ask sir directly. Any query?
Hello. Hello, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Hi, Naresh ji.
Sir, I want to ask you one question, sir. How can the principles of agroforestry be scaled to large industrial farm to achieve significant carbon neutrality? Could you answer?
How can we?
How can the principles of agroforestry be scaled to large industrial
Yes.
farm to achieve significant carbon neutrality?
Okay. See, I will tell you one important thing. Probably the forestry sector, and you take forestry sector and agriculture sector, right? Because of the unique property of the trees, any activity which is leading to the production of trees, of course, when you go to intensive tree production like short rotation, high density short rotation crop production, for example, this involves quite a large amount of investments. And a lot of fertilizer application will be there, a lot of irrigation will be there. So maybe that also will contribute to about carbon dioxide release, and carbon footprint will be maybe very, very high. But you can see that if you retain the plantation for some time, whatever losses you had will be compensated by the trees. This cannot be done by the agriculture. When you grow the agriculture crop like paddy or any other crop, which are all annual seed, and 90 to 95% of the crop is removed from the system. So in such a scenario, you can see that the carbon, either net zero or carbon neutrality bringing is very difficult. But in forestry projects, when you become large scaling of the agroforestry, in the industrial forestry, you are scaling it up to maybe 50 acres or 100 acres or 150 acres or 200 acres. Can you see, even if you have a lot of investments, can you see how much of carbon it will be conserved by the trees when you grow the trees? So definitely that will lead to a neutrality. Right?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So I think there is no query left. So thank you, sir, for giving such a wonderful lecture on the carbon neutral farming and its agroforestry perspective. Sir has covered all the aspects related to this topic, and sir has nicely explained the importance of greenhouse gas for human survival. Sir also explained the IPCC report, which referred the increase in concentration of greenhouse gas in the every decade due to the global warming. Sir has nicely explained about its impact and how the greenhouse gas cause the melting of snow and submerging of many islands in the coming decades, and the productivity of the agricultural land decline with every increase in the concentration of greenhouse gas in the atmosphere. Apart from this, sir also have taken the case study of Kerala state, and sir has explained the impact of climate change on agricultural production and society. Sir nicely explained different sector-wise contribution of greenhouse gas in global warming in India. And apart from this, sir also explained about the different terminology like carbon neutral, net zero, INDC, carbon footprint, mitigation and adaptation strategy for climate change. And sir lastly explained different method to adopt to make the our farming carbon neutral and to achieve our national issue, make the country carbon neutral in 2070. So, sir, profound understanding and engaging delivery have truly enriched our learning experience. Sir, you are thank you, sir, once again, and your enlightenment session and to all participants for their active involvement. We look forward to more such enrichment experience in the future. Thank you, sir, once again. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Rajesh Kumar ji. Thank you, Prabhaji. Especially I thank Prabhaji for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you
Thank you so
very
much.
much, sir, for giving such a very wonderful lecture.
Thank
And
you,
once
sir.
again, thank you for accepting my invitation and
Thank you, sir.
delivered your
Thank you.
lecture in this training program.
Most welcome, sir. Most welcome. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. So can I leave, sir?
Yeah, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Okay, dear participants, we have to move forward because we have to start our next lecture. And our next lecture is very much important because it's all about the role of industries for basically the marketing strategies in agroforestry system. For giving these lectures, we have Dr. Naresh Kumar sir. Dr. Naresh Kumar sir, can you hear, sir?
Yeah. Hello, Prabhaji.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, very much audible. First of all, I would like to welcome Dr. Naresh Kumar, sir, in our 5 days national training programs on marketing and value chain based strategies of agroforestry product in India. Welcome you, sir. And something about Dr. Naresh Kumar, sir. Like Dr. Naresh Kumar, sir, is presently working as a principal scientist agroforestry at ICAR Central Agroforestry Research Institute, Jhansi. Basically, sir did his UG, PG, and PhD. PhD forestry in with the specialization of silviculture and agroforestry from Dr. Yashwant Singh Parmar University of Horticulture and Forestry. And with respect to sir's service, sir has served approx 2 years at Dr. Y.S. Parmar University of Horticulture and Forestry. Then, sir has served approx 10 years at northeastern region, especially in Pasighat, which comes under the Central Agriculture University, Manipur, Imphal. Now, sir joined as a senior scientist at ICR Kafri and currently working at as ICR Kafri as a principal scientist. So, sir has a vast experience about the agroforestry, quality planting material, nursery raising, and sir is also working as a promotion of agroforestry in Bundelkhand region. Sir, always guiding force for me, and I would like to thanks once again, sir, for giving his time and delivering the lecture in this training program. So, without taking much time, I directly invite Dr. Naresh Kumar, sir, to deliver his lecture. Please, sir, kindly deliver your lecture, sir.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Prabhat.
Ji.
Dr. Prabhat, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Very much audible, sir.
Okay. May I start?
Yeah, sir. You start, but your slide is not visible, sir.
Okay. From here it's visible. Then I have to again start it, I think.
Yes, sir. Now it's visible, sir. Kindly make it in a full screen mode.
Hello, Dr. Prabhat.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's moving also or not?
Yes, sir. Moving.
Okay.
Kindly slide. Kindly make it in a slideshow mode, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, sir. It's perfectly fine, sir. You can start.
Okay. Very good afternoon. Dr. Prabhat, there is some internet problem. If this problem continues, kindly let me know through phone or through WhatsApp message so that I can make some alternate arrangement.
Okay, sir.
Okay, but right now I think it's okay.
Yeah, sir.
So,
Perfectly fine.
okay, thank you very much, Dr. Prabhat. You have introduced me to the group and who joined just now. I want to introduce myself. I am Dr. Naresh Kumar and Principal Scientist in ICR Kafri Jhansi. And my presentation, which assigned to me, I think slide is not moving, I think.
Yes, sir. Before it moving, but now it's not. Yes, sir. It's moving, sir.
Okay, a role of industries in enhancing marketing in agroforestry. So this is the topic assigned to me for presentation in this training program. So before starting the topic, I would like to introduce myself with my institution. And I am working in ICR Kafri Jhansi. And regarding this institute, earlier in the 1983, there was All India Coordinated Research Project on Agroforestry and having only 20 centers. Now it has increased up to 37 centers and having headquarters at Jhansi. And earlier, the name of the institute was National Research Center for Agroforestry, NRCF, and it was established in the year 1988. And later on, it was renamed in the year 2014 as Central Agroforestry Research Institute, Jhansi. So some of the achievements of the institute, only few I would like to highlight here. We have mapped the agroforestry area of the country, and that is estimated 28.427 million hectares. And we also, our institute also contributed for formulating the National Agroforestry Policy 2014. And by implementing this policy, India has become the first country in the world having such agroforestry policy. Now, many countries like Nepal, Bhutan, Vietnam, they are also following the same national agroforestry policy for their country. So, as the topic was assigned, agroforestry and industry, how they are linked. Industry, how they are promoting agroforestry or how they are creating the market for the agroforestry products. I would like to say that agroforestry and industry, they are both interlinked with each other and their growth that depends upon the growth of each other. If agroforestry grows, then definitely industry that will also boost up the production because that will procure the raw material continuously from the agroforestry. And on the other hand, agroforestry, they are or the agroforestry growers, agroforestry growers or the farmers, they are also getting the marketing facilities for the sale of their produce. Dr. Prabhat, some sound is there, I think.
Yes, sir. I resolved, sir. I resolved.
Oh, okay. So, coming to the basic concept of the agroforestry, it involves the different components, and we can say it is a concept of integrated land use that combine elements of agriculture and forestry in a sustainable production system. So, if you talk about the components of the agroforestry, so basically three major components, that is the agriculture crops, animals, and woody perennials. That may be fruit tree, that may be the timber tree, or that may be perennial shrub. if we integrate these components on the same unit of land and there are some economic and ecological interactions, then we can say that it is an agroforestry system. So there are different agroforestry practices like agri-silviculture, agri-horticulture, agri-silvi-horticulture, depending upon the components. Similarly, for the silvipastoral, for the wasteland or the unculturable lands. So, if you talk about the agroforestry scenario, what is the contribution of agroforestry to address the different sectors' demands? As I told earlier, that the agroforestry area of the country has been estimated at 28.427 million hectares, which is about 8.66% of the geographical area of the country. So this agroforestry area or agroforestry sector, it addresses the different demands of the different corners. Like, for example, half of the demand of the fuel wood is fulfilled by the agroforestry or the products that we get from cooking or pruning from the agroforestry tree species. Similarly, 2/3 of the small timber that we also procure from the agroforestry sector, 70 to 80% demand of the plywood for the raw material is fulfilled by the agroforestry. 60% of the raw material of the paper and pulp industry that is fulfilled by the agroforestry. Regarding green fodder, 9 to 11% requirement is fulfilled by the fodder tree species grown in the agroforestry. So this slide shows that agroforestry is having the great potential to address the different requirements from the different corner or from the different sectors, including the industrial sector. So regarding, if we say advantage of a system, then we can say that it provides the assured return, especially in the rain-fed agriculture when there is a chances of crop failure. Even in that situation, the tree component that provides some yields. Increase in demand of the forest products as the population is increasing, the demand is also increasing for the different forest products. And agroforestry can contribute or contributing to fulfill the demand of the different forest products also. And as compared to the monocropping, the economic returns in total, if you calculate in the total, then it will be more as compared to the monocropping. So agroforestry is having the good potential to provide the economic return. And regarding harvesting time, we can adjust the harvesting of the wood component, especially depending upon the market demand and the price or fluctuation in the price or the need of, from the different industry. So it is this agroforestry practice or the systems, they are less natural resource exhaustive systems, and they are more sustainable for the longer duration. So in general, the agroforestry, it decreases the pressure on forest, provide multiple benefits and livelihood support, bringing wasteland under economic use, provide environmental services, enhance employment opportunities, improve the forest cover, especially tree cover outside the forest, and it provides the raw material for the different wood-based industries. So if you talk about the ecosystem services of the agroforestry, it provides the all provisioning, regulating, cultural, and sporting services to the stakeholder. And if we calculate the value of the different ecosystem services, then we can realize the potential of the agroforestry system is very much high. So it is a sustainable land use system and having the potential to fulfill the needs of the farmers, rural communities, urban communities, as well as the industrial sector also. So if you talk about the SDG goal, so out of 17, 9 SDG sustainable development goals, they are directly or indirectly linked with the agroforestry, and they are addressing the different SDG also. So now the next point comes that how industries can promote the agroforestry, because they are two corners of a coin. If we promote industry, definitely agroforestry will also grow. If agroforestry is growing, then industry sector is also getting the higher returns by increasing their scale of the production. So the industry, it provides the technical assistance to the farmers on how to implement management practices to supply the desired product to the stakeholder or industries. It develop and market agroforestry products, invest in research and development of new agroforestry technologies, advocate for policies that support agroforestry, and most important is the corporate social responsibility. By funding the agroforestry projects, it also promotes the agroforestry. And by imparting the training to the farmers or the stakeholders to practice the agroforestry, it can contribute or it is contributing to promote the agroforestry. Hello.
Yes,
Hello.
sir.
प्रभात स्लाइड मूव कर रहे हैं?
Yeah, sir. It's
लेकिन
perfectly moving. But you are not visible, sir, na?
okay.
Slide is perfect.
Hello. There are some cottage industries which are directly or indirectly linked with the agroforestry, like sawmill, safety mesh box, or splint making, sports good making, kapha and kutch, lac industry, bamboo and cane industry, collection and processing of medicinal and aromatic plants, sericulture, bead making, etc. These are some of the cottage industries which are linked with the agroforestry directly or indirectly, and it is one of the middle chain to the big industry, because sometimes some products they are semi-processed at the cottage level scale industry, and finally finishing of the production is at the big industry. So in this way, if there is a good linkage between the farmers and industries, then we can promote the production system and we can support the livelihood security of the farmers also. So by promoting the or by integrating the species which provide the different products related to the agro industry, if we promote that in the agroforestry, then it will provide the market or it can be supplied to the industries. So if you talk about the Indian silk industry, it is one of the industry that is based on the tree species, especially the agroforestry tree species like Morus alba and Terminalia arjuna. And if we see the production in the year 2015-16, that is, it is 26,000 metric ton near about, and it increased to 36,000 metric ton in the year 2023. It shows that there is a great jump in the production, and it directly or indirectly linked with the agroforestry tree species also, because the silkworm it is reared on the species like Morus alba and Terminalia arjuna. If the production of the silkworm is increasing, it means the area or the plants of the plantation of the Morus alba and Terminalia arjuna that is also increasing. So in this way, it is also providing the marketing opportunity for the this silk products in the market, as well as for the this Morus alba and Terminalia arjuna leaf fodder. So it is one of the case study where this Wimco, one of the important company which promoted the popular at larger scale, especially in the North India of our country. So like this popular, one of the important industrial tree species. It is used in the plywood industry as well as in the paper industry. And this Wimco, it has promoted it in the states like Punjab, Haryana, and some parts of Uttar Pradesh. Now, these areas, they are having a sufficient plantation which can be supplied, or the wood products can be supplied to the paper industry continuously. And the farmers of these regions, they are getting a regular income from the popular plantation, and the industries. Now, almost 200 factories in these areas, they are continuously getting the raw material from this popular based agroforestry. So in this way, we can say that wood-based industry getting ensured raw material, and the agroforestry farmers, they are getting regular revenue from the popular trade and processing. So the main popular growing districts are the Saharanpur, Muzaffarnagar, Meerut, Muradabad, Rampur, Bareilly, etc. So in these areas, now the popular based agroforestry is very much prominent, and the farmers, they are getting continuous revenue from the this product or from the wood of the popular by supplying to the industry. It is generating an employment of around 6 crore man days in nursery and plantation culture and associated activities of harvesting, transportation, and wood processing in wood waste industry. It shows that the industry that can play important role in promoting the agroforestry tree species, to provide the employment opportunity, to provide the livelihood security to the farmers on sustainable basis. So there is one of the important industry, that is the paper and pulp industry. And if you see the growth of this paper and pulp industry in our country, or we can say the paper consumption worldwide from 2020 to 2030, it is expected. So from 2020, if you see, the paper consumption worldwide is about 400 million metric tons, and it will rise up to 466 million metric ton by 2031. And it shows that there will be the great demand for the pulp producing tree species like poplar, melia, eucalyptus, casuarina, lucina. So this increasing production or expected rise in the production of the pulp or the paper, it directly, indirectly will increase the area under the plantation of the tree species which are used in the paper and pulp industry, like fast growing tree species, poplar, melia, eucalyptus, casuarina, lucina, etc. And if you see the growth, how the paper industry growth in India. So Indian paper industry recorded a unique growth in the production with 0.11 million ton in 1950-51. And now, or in the year 2010-11, it is up to the data available up to 2010-11, the production is 10.1 million ton. So it shows that the paper consumption or paper production both increased with the passage of the time. And in the recent year, or in the year 2021, per capita paper consumption is around 19 kilogram in our country, which is, however, much lower than the world average, that is the 57 kilogram. However, the growth is this paper consumption is growing rapidly with a compounded annual growth rate of 6% from 2012 to 2023 compared to the global average of 3%. This growth is expected to continue, and in year around 2030, the per capita consumption will be near about 30 kilogram. And this rise in the consumption, it will directly or indirectly increase the area under agroforestry, so that this agroforestry tree species or the fast growing tree species suitable for paper industry can fulfill the demand of the industry. And in addition, this paper industry in India, it also provides the employment opportunity near about 5 lakh people across approximately 800 paper mills. So it provides the opportunity to the farmers or the other technical, non-technical or laborers in the industry also for the production of the paper. So paper industry in India is basically agro-based industry, and almost 90% of the raw wood pulp used in the paper industry comes from the agroforestry. It shows that agroforestry is having the great potential to fulfill the demand of the pulp and paper industry. And some of the tree species which are suitable for the paper industry, which I have earlier told, that poplar, eucalyptus, malabar neem. So the poplar, it is planted at a spacing of 8 into 2.5 meter, and the rotation age is around 6 years. But it depends upon the soil conditions or the agroclimatic conditions of that area. And economics calculated is near about rupees 1 lakh compared to 34,000 from sole crop. So having the great potential of this poplar-based agroforestry system over the sole cropping. Similarly, the eucalyptus-based agroforestry system. So eucalyptus, its rotation age is 3 to 4 years for the poles and 6 to 7 years for the timber. And for the pulp industry, it depends upon the size and agroclimatic conditions, soil types, or irrigation facilities. So the rotation age can be adjusted accordingly. But again, the economics, that is near about 1 lakh. The eucalyptus-based system range between 95,000 to 1,26,000 under irrigated conditions. Melia-based agroforestry system. Milia is one of the important agroforestry tree species, and its utility depends upon its growth stage. For example, at the age of 3 years or 4 years, it can be used for the pulp industry. And when it attains the age of 7, 8 years and having a good clean bowl and diameter, it can be suitable for the plywood industry. And if you retain it for 15 or 20 years, then it can be used for the timber purpose. So having so much diversified uses with this tree species make it a very much important agroforestry tree species for the different uh, agroclimatic conditions which are suitable for its cultivation. The other important tree species, or sorry, for grass rather, this bamboo, it is one of the important species for raw material for the paper industry. And its economics or its rotation age, that is 4 years, but it depends upon the use. If we use for the timber purpose or for the whole purpose, we can harvest it at the age of 4 or 5 years. And if you are using for the pulp industry, then it can be reduced to the 3 year also. So depending upon the use, we can adjust the rotation period. And its benefit cost ratio is calculated 1.41:1. So bamboo is also one of the potential tree species, and it is also known as green gold due to its great potential for the revenue generation. So this increase in the area under this bamboo plantation can supply the raw material for the industry and can create the market for the farmers to sell their agroforestry produce. So another sector which can create the market for the agroforestry products, or which is directly or indirectly linked with the agroforestry, that is the nursery or quality planting material. For any plantation program, good quality planting material is prerequisite. And for raising the nursery, the labor or the technical persons, they are required at different stages, from the seed collection to seed sowing, transportation, plantation. So at every stage, huge number of the manpower is required. So this nursery sector, it provides a lot of employment opportunity. And there are some limitations or some challenges for raising the quality planting material. But again, to solve the challenges, also create some employment opportunity to the other sectors or other category of the trained or skilled laborers. So in this way, this nursery raising of quality planting material can create the marketing facility and can supply the seedling for raising the agroforestry plantations. The another sector which is linked with the agroforestry and linked with the industry, that is the medicinal and aromatic plant sector. In India, about 35 million work days of employment per year are contributed by collection and processing of medicinal plants. And about 95% of the medicinal and aromatic plants are collected from the wild. This data shows that we are having a lot of potential to domesticate the medicinal and aromatic plants in our landscape or in our agroforestry, because in the wild, the resources they are getting exhausted. So if we integrate the medicinal and aromatic plants in agroforestry, we can have the assured supply system and we can have the assured revenue generation or the livelihood security to the farmers. Near about 25% modern medicines, they are derived from the plants. And if you talk about the trade, international market for MAP is more than 71 billion US dollar. And US and Western countries, they are having the 75% share, China 7% share, and India is having only 0.3% contribution in this trade. So a lot of potential and a lot of opportunity is there to increase the production and to increase the share. So some of the tree species which are having the medicinal value and they are traded, they are like Amblyca officinalis, asparagus, Vidania somnifera, Terminalia chavula, Asoka, Eagle marmelos, Cassia angustifolia, Athatoda vesica, Piper longum, Bacopa moneri. So these are some of the species which are traded and they are high in the demand, and they can be domesticated in different agroforestry systems. So if you talk about the data, the Indian Ayurvedic market was valued at 335 billion Indian rupees in year 2019, and it is expected to grow significantly in the coming years. India accounts for about 80% of the global Ayurvedic market, which is one of the world's oldest medicine system. So there is one of the sector or one of the activity through the industry which can promote the agroforestry. So this is one of the example of the promotion of the agroforestry through corporate corporate social responsibility activities. It is one of the, we can say, joint venture of Dabur and C4 ICRA to promote agroforestry and tree outside forest area in India. The main objective of this joint venture is, one is to promote the medicinal and aromatic plants, its cultivation, its nursery, and the other objective is to increase the area outside the forest. So ICRAF, they are more interested to increase the area on the tree outside the forest, and the Dabur, they are interested in increasing or domesticating the medicinal and aromatic plants which are required for the different product making in the industry. So in this way, this corporate social responsibility activity, it can promote the cultivation of medicinal and aromatic plants in the selected states like Uttar Pradesh, Haryana, Rajasthan, Odisha, Andhra, Assam, and Tamil Nadu. And simultaneously, it will also increase the area under tree outside the forest. The initiative will play a critical role in increasing the tree cover outside the forest area and will also support the sustainable livelihood for the community by providing employment opportunities in nurseries, semi-processing, and trading, etc. So these are the some of the pictures or examples of the medicinal tree species and some of the aromatic later on the coming slides. This is the Terminalia chabula, and it is one of the important ingredients in Trifla powder. This is the Onla America officinalis. In Trifla powder, there are three components: Onla, chabula, and Baheda. So this is the second one, and this is the third Terminalia arjuna, and it is very commonly used for heart diseases. It's bark powder, and Terminalia bellerica. It is the third component of the Trifla powder, and bale, Eagle marmalade. It is one of the important fruit tree species, especially of this Bundelkhand region, and are suitable for the area having the very frequent droughts. So this tree, such fruit tree component can be integrated in agroforestry for harnessing their potential. So this is one of the important medicinal plant of Wolfia serpentina, Sarpagandha. It is used as sedative and tranquilizer and for reducing the high blood pressure. Vidania somnifera, Ashwagandha, it improves the immunity and it is also suitable for integration in the agroforestry. Mucuna pruriens, it's having the aphrodisiac, infertility, nervous disorder, and Parkinson's disease curing properties. Spilanthes acmila, aloe vera, having the multiple use in the cosmetics and also in the medicines. Stevia rewarddiana, Andrographis paniculata, Satavar, Asparagus racemosus, and some of the aromatic plants. There are more than 1,500 non-aromatic plant species serving as a source of raw material for the perfumery and cosmetic industry. And these species can be integrated in the agroforestry system for harnessing their potential and for making the continuous supply to the industry also. So some of the example of these aromatic plants, they are the vetiver giganoids, that is commonly known as khas grass, and its price ranging from 15,000 to 20,000 rupees per kg. And the oil content is 0.2 to 0.5%. And basically its roots, they are distilled for the extraction of essential oils. This is the Symbopogon flexusus, lemongrass, and its price is 600 to 700 rupees per kg. Its leaves, they are used for extraction of the essential oils. This is the citronella, Symbopogon winterianus, and its price is also varying from 600 to 700 rupees per kg. But these prices, they are very much dynamic in nature. So the other industry that is related to the agroforestry, that is the timber industry. and it is expected that there is a huge rise in the timber demand in the coming next decades. Currently, it is estimated that 57 million cubic meter wood is required or it is in the demand. But in 2030, it is estimated that the demand will be 98 million cubic meters. So to fill this gap, we have to increase the production. We have to increase the tree cultivation in different landscapes, either in the agroforestry or tree outside forest, boundary plantation, bund plantation, or different practices of agroforestry, so that we can fulfill the demand of this timber in the year 2030 or in the coming years. And India will need to rely heavily on import to meet this surge in demand because domestic production is restricted. If you don't increase the area, or if you are not having the much enhancement in the area under agroforestry or tree outside forest, then definitely we have to remain dependent for the import of the timber. This situation offers opportunity to increase the tree outside forest and to fulfill the needs of wood, and side by side to improve the earning of the growers. So some of the important tree species, especially of the Bundelkhand region, having the good timber value, that is the Tectona grandis, Dalbergia, Ajadirachta indica, and Albizia. So some of the agroforestry system, this is one of the teak-based agroforestry system, and these are pictures, they are from our Craft Institute, and we have planted it at the spacing 8 into 2 meter. We are having two spacing, 12 into 2 meters, and the one is the another spacing which we have outfit, that is 9 into 3 meters. And generally the rotation age is 20 to 25 years, although having the longer gestation period. But if we keep the wider spacing between the rows, we can have the intercrop for the longer period of for many years. So this is the Dalbergia based agroforestry system. It is also one of the important timber species of this Bundelkhand region. And these are some of the examples of the different industries or different sectors or different corners which agroforestry is addressing. For example, timber, teak and sesame, it is the best timber species of this area. For popular this pulp industry, popular Eucalyptus milia, fuel wood, karghai, palas, subabur, fodder, subabur, anjan, moringa, and for nutritional security, onla, guava, mango, jackfruit, mahua, bale, jamun, Karonda, moringa, etc. Similarly, for the biodiesel, currants, that is also one of the important tree species of this area. Neem, medicinal tree species, earlier told that hard beta, amla, or arjun tree. Gum yielding, albizia, babul, soap nut, rita, lag hosting, palas, bear, katha tree, khair, medicinal plant, aswagandha, sarpagandha, aloe vera, and aromatic grass like citronella, lemongrass, khasgrass, etc. So at the end, we can say that industry can play an important role in promoting agroforestry. Continued collaboration between industry, government, and communities is essential for scaling up agroforestry and realizing its full potential. Quality planting material, assured market returns, and well-established industry farmer government linkages is the prime consideration for the rapid increase in area under tree outside forest or agroforestry. Assured sustainable supply of raw material to industry will boost up the industrial growth, which will simultaneously support the agroforestry practices and offer the continuous marketing opportunity to sell the agroforestry produce. So this was in brief about the presentation, and from my side, the presentation is over. Dr. Prabhat?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. If participants, if you have any questions, you can ask from sir. Participants, if you have any query, any clarification regarding this, you can directly ask to sir. Okay. Okay, if there is no, sir, Some questions like, where is market of medicinal and aromatic plants in Uttar Pradesh? Somebody is asking.
Okay. Hello.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay, audible?
Yeah, sir, audible.
Okay. Uh, it depends upon the which type of medicinal aromatic plant product you want to sell. Because it's a very common term that vary the market. Because there are some companies like some industry like Ayurveda. They are having the contract farming with the farmers, and they give the target and they give their special demand for the particular plant, and the farmer they grow that one, and if that is as per the requirement or as per the parameter of the industry, they procure it as the contract farming. And if you are having very small production in kg or very small amount is there, then definitely very difficult to sell such type of the produce in the market.
Any other questions? Okay, if there is no questions, then we will stop here. So once again, sir, thank you for giving such a wonderful lectures. You covered all the things regarding the role of industry. You also covered various potential industrial agroforestry tree species like poplar, eucalyptus, bamboo. You also talked about nursery industry, medicinal aromatic plant industry. You also talked about so much information regarding the corporate social responsibility and the timber industry basically and potential species for timber industry. So you covered all the potential tree species and the industry where we can basically sell our products or sustain the raw material to the industry. So very much thankful, sir, for giving your consent and delivered your valuable lecture in this our national training programs with your busy schedule. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, okay, Dr. Prabhat, there was one question where the availability of this bamboo plants or seedling or sapling.
Okay.
So I want to address this question.
Okay.
It's available in our institute also, in RLBCU also, and there are many forest departments at district level having the nursery, and they are producing the bamboo plants, either through seed or through other methods. So you can have the planting material from these institutions or from the nurseries. And Dr. Prabhat, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. And
Good evening, sir. Sir, I have
hello,
one question.
Who is speaking? Mr. Naresh Singh.
Yes, sir. Yes. Sir, I have
Okay.
one question, sir. What are the best practices for industries to promote agroforestry products in competitive markets?
Okay. Uh, can you repeat the question because your sound is not much audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I am repeating, sir.
Okay.
What are the what are the best practices for industries to promote agroforestry products
Okay. I got the point. Oh, I got the point.
in
The best
competitive?
practice is one consortium, or we can say the contract farming. If the industry make the contract with the farmer that you grow this species and we will procure the wood or the material after this period, after 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, whatsoever they decide. So this will be the assured market for the farmers, and it will also act as a assured raw material supply to the industry. So such type of partnership can promote the industry as well as the agroforestry at the farmer level, and it will be a win-win situation for both. And it is also a good agroforestry practice for the industrial viewpoint as well as from the farmer viewpoint.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, welcome. प्रभा जी,
Yes, sir.
ऑनलाइन चाय हो जाए?
Hmm. If anybody wants to ask any other question, you can ask, or otherwise we will stop here. Okay, sir. So there is no
Okay,
question.
thank you. And I think Dr. Rakesh Negi is also with you. And
Right
Dr.
now he
Negi?
is not available. Right now he is not available, sir.
Okay. So thank you everyone. And thank you, Dr. Prabhat, for the opportunity. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
So, dear participants, we will meet tomorrow on 10:15 a.m. tomorrow, because tomorrow we have another 4 lectures, which is very informative. So I request once again to kindly stick with the timing and join on 10:15 a.m. tomorrow. So with this, we will stop here. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Sir, कौन सी वाली जो मैंने बनाई थी? हाँ, दोनों भेज देना ताकि